explosives to defend your people. If you don't defend your people will be wiped out, extinguished from the earth. The process of natural selection by Charles Darwin will take place. Buy your guns and defend your women and children. Push forth. Let no one fool you. You're on your own. The junta regime of Nigeria is a Fulani regime. Muhammadu Buhari is a Fulani. He grew up as a Fulani, a cattle rearer. He can't speak English till today. All he knows is you guys have the president has gone to the place. Yes, Zazu Rock. I am going to London to eat. I am going to London because I am sick. That is the kind of person who rules the largest population in Africa. That is the Fulani who has never studied in the four walls of any school, who can't speak English, and you are there siding with a Fulani man, paying allegiance to Asu Rock, so that a Fulani man whose goal is to extinguish the fighting population of the Biafra people. How can a Fulani man live from up north, come down south, and is wiping you guys out, and you guys are complaining on Facebook? Invoke the Ambazonia strategy. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Wipe them out before they wipe you out. It's a self-help situation. It's a self-help system. Wipe them out. And immediately declare a strong war against the Fulanis. That is how you invoke your power. Don't take them for, they are not educated. They are not. And they cannot be educated to fight you guys. You guys are the most learned in Africa. They are not educated. The same thing we've done for the people of Ambazonia. A few miscreants leave from neighboring La Republic to Cameroon, come and impose themselves as what they call colonial duos. In Nigeria, you may call it a local government area. In Ambazonia, we call it colonial duos, district officers. They come and impose themselves as leaders among us. One of the strategies you have to enact is to wipe out all of those so-called local government areas. Wipe them out. Delete them. Delete. You see it? Someone who bribes to get his or her way into NNAM, all of those public schools in neighboring La Republic to Cameroon, jumps into Ambazonia, automatically becomes wealthy because he sponges on the people's sweat and blood. He collects taxes, bribes from the people of Ambazonia, and he lives as a neighbor to the ordinary poor Ambazonian man. And you are allowing this man to brush his teeth every day outside, good morning, brushing his teeth and spitting on the floor of Ambazonia. You have to wipe that idiot out. You don't tolerate those idiots. There, if it creeps like a terrorist, it barks like a terrorist, it smiles like a terrorist, it quacks like a terrorist, it is a terrorist. No two things. It is a terrorist. Wipe it out. Even if Britain is supporting them, who cares? Ambazonia exists today. No country apart from Biafra supports us, the Ambazonian people. No country. None. No country exists today apart from the Biafran people who have supported us. But yet, Cameroon has international relationships, embassies with almost all countries in the world. Who cares? Who cares? That is why I'm saying, I keep saying that this is a slave trade mentality. It is a slave trade mentality. It is a mental slavery mentality we are having here. Mental slavery. Where you think, oh no, I cannot fight them because Britain is supporting them. I cannot fight them because France is supporting them. No, I cannot fight them because China is supporting them. You have to support yourselves. Our grandfathers, without communications, defeated the whites, the Abyssinian revolt, the Ethiopian versus the Italians. The King Menelik, he defeated the Italians without communications, without anything. Italians who were already having international relationships with other countries dating back to the 1964 Westphalia Treaty, they could still defeat the Italians in the Abyssinian revolt. without any communications. What more of you who has all means of communications today? Are you depending, or are you giving lame excuses that someone comes into your land, he's supported by the Britain? Why don't you support yourself and defeat them? You are 70 million, for heaven's sake. 70 million. And let me tell you, the British, they care about human rights more than the ordinary Nigerian person does. They care about human rights more than the ordinary Cameroonian does. When you start fighting them, they have no other way to go to than to start accusing the heavy power. And who is the heavy power? Nigeria. That's the same thing we've done for neighboring Republic to Cameroon. We started fighting them. People say, oh, can you stand up against them? Can you stand? No, I think you should back out. I think, no, I shouldn't. I think you should get away. Let me tell you this. When we started fighting this so-called junta regime of neighboring La Republique du Cameroon, many of our own people, the Ambazonians, said, oh no, we should back out. We are not equipped. We are ill-equipped. We cannot fight them. Hey, look, let me tell you this. How are we ill-equipped when we have 8 million? Even among the 8 million, we have just 2 who are willing to buy guns. You start taking out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the power of numbers. You start defeating them morally, psychologically, and pulling more numbers to yourself. How do we do it? Cameroon is heavily sponsored by France. Cameroon is heavily sponsored even by the United States. But when we started this war, France started backing out. Today, France is barely showing its face in this fight against Ambazonia versus La Republique du Cameroon. Britain started backing out. Today, British Parliament, the parliamentarians in Britain are speaking against Cameroon. But before we started this war, they were not speaking against Cameroon. So don't be afraid. They will speak out against them. Britain started speaking out against them. America went on to pull back its military aid from Cameroon. Let me tell you this. Don't be afraid of Britain supporting whoever they want to support. You have to be worried about your own self. What are you doing to liberate your own homeland?
Isn't it just incredible how it is possible to keep a straight face and talk about all that has gone wrong? Why this country is where we are today, and why we're where we are today is because of 16 years of mismanagement of resources. That's the problem. That's why that's why we're here today. That's why. So all these investments ought to have been done. We're investing in infrastructure now with 60% less.
I mean, with comprehensive on corruption to have effective fifth phase in the transmission, efforts at the transmission conclusion to transmission to have effect apprehensive towards the recommended transmission, effective and apprehensive at the transmission of crime prevention and detection and transmission for the effective of the transmission of the Nigerian police force and the men in the command.
Website of NSCDC, yeah. Yes, will be I cannot categorically tell you one now, because the one that the one we are going to make use of, I'm not the one that is going to create.
No, you see, the question is, what is your website?
Wait.
Okay.
The one that we are going to make use of is going to remain known by my Oga at the top. Yes, I can't announce one now. And my Oga says it's another one.
The NNAMDI'S has multiple websites?
This is something we cannot have multiple websites. But the one that
Not the one for employment.
It's not the one for employment.
Not the one for employment.
What is your website now? The one you use normally, your official website.
If you want to know about the NSCDC, what website do you go to?
Okay, if you want to know about NSCDC, as of now.
Exactly.
Okay, www.nscdc.
Yes.
Yes. So that's all.
In the beginning, in the
indigenous. All I know, I hope is ever for sure. One day we must be free. Elohim, yeah, we told us to go. Biafra is guarantee. Yeah, people around the world will crying for peace to reign, crying for peace to reign. Father and mother everywhere, crying for peace to reign. I got to sing, I got to sing. Make a human, hey human. I got to sing, I got to sing. Make a human, hey human, hey human. Innocent people are dying, dying every day. Can't shoot and not crying, crying every day. Let me tell you what you need to know. Freedom is guaranteed. Let me tell you what you need to know. You must be free. You must be free. Oh, oh, oh. Hey, 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 oh, oh. Hey, 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 oh, oh. Hey, hey, oh, oh. Are you going to marry? Freedom, freedom, oh, freedom, 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 freedom. Are you going to marry? None kind of freedom, freedom. Are you going to marry? Are you going to marry? Biafra freedom, freedom. Hey, are you going to marry? I love this green, better green. Tell the cheese to the enemies. They call me evil and Hebrew. Say the same, we will never give up. We made a creed that we wanna go. Tell the world that I got is great. Wayo, 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 wayo. Hey, are you going to marry? Wayo, wayo. Hey, are you going to marry?
And he has the nerve to come and tell us that violence and hatred won't get it. Don't buy that. He's worthy to be hated. Worthy because of the evil that he does. God hates. I don't know why man think you're better than God when God in the Bible said he loved Jacob but he hated Esau. In the Bible he said no man can serve two masters. He'll love one and hate the other. They have made us little sheep that they can walk over and run over, but when we decide it's over, and we should make that decision, it's over, we're not taking it anymore, and we cannot pass on to another generation the legacy of our cowardice when we know the problem and won't move to erase the problem. That's our fault. We gotta change. See, one of the things that our ancient people knew, yours and mine, when it got to the point where they would be extinguished, they had to fight. Even if they lost, they had to fight. So the great warrior spirit came up out of us. Same with the blacks, same in Haiti, same in Central and South America. the Maroons, all of those came to a position where they had to fight. In that church, where 9 of our brothers and sisters were shot down by a skunk, how in the hell are we justified in offering him love and he offers us death?
Somebody asked me the other day,
Excuse me for my passion.
That's
brother.
okay. Asked me, can you forgive him? And I looked at him, I said, no, I cannot forgive him because he knew what he was doing. He was cold and calculated, and he was just fostering the same hate.
Who asked you that question, brother? Did he look like us?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Yeah, I know.
How in the hell? I mean, it's an insult
It
to
is
me
an insult.
that you're going to ask me, can you forgive? How long have white people been doing this kind of evil to the darker people in the earth?
So how long
Since
do we have to
they've been
continue?
here. And when we make up our mind, we're not taking it no more. Because it's better to be dead than to live under tyranny all the days of your life. This is why America separated from England. The tyranny of King George was too much for them to bear. So what did they do? They decided death is better. So it was Patrick Henry that said, give me liberty or give me death. And until we come up with that kind of mind, I'd rather be dead than to live continuously under this kind of tyranny. And when you think like that, you'll do what is necessary to move the tyrant off of you. With the help of God, we will win if we fight.
From the very beginning, when we were amalgamated, to the very beginning we became a nation, we got it altogether wrong. You bring in people of different culture, different beliefs, different socialization, different milieu, different outlooks, merge them together by force to form a nation. Only the initial builders of Nigeria had a clear vision and a mission, devoid of any sentiment. Soon thereafter, it became clear that it was a wrong union. It was a union that was not properly negotiated. We could have remained a great country if we had isolated our own identities, peculiarities, culture, while contributing to build a nation just like America. But we ended up having people from one generation, one set of beliefs to another, everybody coming with a vision and a mission, and destroy the previous ones he made, even if they are good, because they are put in place by an imaginary enemy. Secondly, we have a nation where we celebrate criminals. It is only in Nigeria that somebody will clearly steal and loot hugely from the public treasury, and then after some times you see him receiving national honors, you see him being given chieftaincy titles, you see him being called king, prince, or an emir. That is an indicator that we are yet to be there. We also form a nation. Only the initial builders of Nigeria had a clear vision and a mission, devoid of any sentiment. Soon thereafter, it became clear that it was a wrong union. It was a union that was not properly negotiated. We could have remained a great country if we had isolated our own identities, peculiarities, culture, while contributing to build a nation just like America. But we ended up having people from one generation, one set of beliefs to another, everybody coming with a vision and a mission, and destroy the previous ones he made, even if they are good, because they are put in place by an imaginary enemy. Secondly, we have a nation where we celebrate criminals. It is only in Nigeria that somebody will clearly steal and loot hugely from the public treasury, and then after some times you see him receiving national honors, you see him being given chieftaincy titles, you see him being called king, prince, or an emir. That is an indicator that we are yet to be there. We also have a complacent followership, a followership that is satisfied with collecting 500 naira to vote, 1,000 naira to vote, a bar of soap, a tin of milk. On that basis, he surrenders his franchise. It means we are not conscious of our civic duties and responsibilities as a nation. Majority of the common people that are complaining now are also contributing to the destruction of the country in collaboration with the colleagues or of the elites. While the elites are losing the treasury, they are hailing them. Today, if a northerner were to be caught stealing 10 billion naira and he is taken to court, believe me honestly, you will see northern organizations, northern elites, some of them saying that he is being persecuted because he's a northerner, because he's a Muslim.
We also saw in southern Nigeria.
We had such an incident. I can give you, if you give me time. A former managing director of a bank in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, in between his wife, his house girl, his younger brother, himself, stole 3 billion naira directly from shareholders' money.
Allegedly.
Yeah, no. Just wait. He was taken to court, and he appeared only once. Before the next adjournment date, two prominent Islamic scholars, a member of Johnathan Islam, and an elder went and visited the president, interceded on his own behalf. By the next adjournment date, the Attorney General entered a nolle prosequi in his own favor. 4 years after,
and that was the end of the case.
4 years after, I saw his name with OON, without being extended presidential prerogative of mercy, without degazetting his name. Until they degazetted his name, I still have the gazette. He has not been degazetted. 9 years after, another governor from South, maybe he was looking for GCON because this one was giving OON for stealing 3 billion naira. That Southern State governor stole 30 billion naira. He was also charged to court. South Elders Forum, members of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Secretary General of Khan visited Mr. President in the villa. I still have the video on NTA. They said, Mr. President, our son being persecuted. The money said to have been stolen by him. Does that money belong to the federal government or to the state government? And the president said the money belongs to him. They said he is our son, we have forgiven him. And that was the end of the story. As if Islam and Christianity is about stealing and looting the public treasury. Until we dispose of this mentality of using religion to intimidate government and to intimidate other people, we have a very, very long way to go. We must not wear the face of Moses and hang the heart of Pharaoh if we want this country to grow.
Okay, we'll go on a break. When we come back, I will continue to tackle issues, but with more.
Well, we're picking up on that comment and some of the others, as you see in the front pages. Abuja has got this one.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Joining us right now is Zachary Gundu, who is a professor of archaeology at the Ahmadu Bello University. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. If there's anything we can all agree on, I mean, there's a common thread running through all of the discourse that we have heard so far. It is that these killings are senseless and that government has done very little or nothing to stop them. Or maybe what it is doing, we're yet to see, because the killings and the divisions are still running riot, and it doesn't seem like it's going to come to an end. Try to help us make sense of what your reading of all that has been happening is.
Well, in a way, if you are the victim, the killings are senseless. But if you are the one doing the killing, it makes sense. A lot of Nigerians don't appreciate our history. They don't also appreciate what has been happening in this country, especially in the past few years. I believe that if people know history, they will know why the Fulanis are doing this. If people know our recent history, they will know that there is an attempt to grab a lot of land from the people of this country for the Fulani of the whole world. For people who don't know, the Fulanis have their original homeland in Guinea. That is in Futajalon. And they had an outing from Guinea. From 1804, the outing in Nigeria was represented by the Usman and Fodio Jihad. It succeeded. There was a caliphate which they established outside even the boundaries of this country, because the caliphate from Sokoto, if you go up country, it went into Chad, it went into Niger. And then from independence, we have had about 3 Fulani leaders who have led this country. But in the original homeland, which is Guinea, the Fulanis have not been allowed to lead Guinea. So Nigeria has become their second preferred homeland, where they are inviting the Fulanis of the whole world to come and claim as their own country. And people should realize this. And if we sit down here on our ancestral lands in this country, and somebody comes in to kill us, it becomes a problem. Let me just say this.
Professor, I'm afraid I have to interrupt you.
No, let me just say this.
Just before you say what you say, or what you want to say, I want to ask, how do you have, how are you able to draw this thread? You have talked about history. We all know that before now, yes, we fought intertribal wars. There were conquests every now and then. The Benin Empire, for instance, was quite expansive. And it also, made its own conquest. Yet nobody has been able, whenever Ife Modake is fighting, nobody is talking about prehistorical or, pre-colonial wars to justify what is happening now.
The Ife Modakakwe war is a local phenomenon. In Nigeria, what happened when the British people came in? Remember, the caliphate was a pre-colonial phenomenon, and it gave the Fulanis some privileges even over the HAUSA states, because they manipulated Islam to take over the HAUSA states, and it gave them some privileges over the HAUSA states and other Nigerian groups which they used to raid as slaves. When the British people came in, people who know colonial history would know that they privileged them. They decided to divide and rule this country by privileging the Fulanis over other groups. So what happened is that the Fulanis moved with their privileges from the pre-colonial period into the colonial period. And now that we have independence, they are also moving with the privileges they had under the colonial government into independent Nigeria. And independent Nigeria is not a feudal system. Independent Nigeria cannot allow a group of people to come into this country from all over West Africa and claim this as their own country. What happened during colonialism was that the states we have presently became fixated in terms of their boundaries.
My question is, how do you know that there is an invitation, as you put it, from local Fulanese or Nigerian Fulanese, as it were, to their counterparts in, say, Guinea?
They have not hidden that. They have not hidden that. Remember, the governor of Kaduna State has agreed, has admitted that he used state funds in Kaduna to pay Fulani people from outside the country from coming to attack us. Remember that the government is now belatedly saying that the people who are responsible for this are foreign mercenaries. Remember that the Inspector General of Police before this one and the Minister of Agriculture has argued consistently that the people attacking this country are not Nigerians, they are from outside. What this means is that if somebody comes from outside, he's coming at whose instance? Remember where Benue is.
Professor,
if you come from outside, and you go right into Benue to attack it, where are you coming from?
Just before you go on, there have been other, there have been other plausible theories around this. They have talked about how there is an environmental crisis. The fact that even the Lake Chad is drying up, and right now there is a need. I mean, even the desert is encroaching. We're all aware of that, and that pasture that used to be available for cattle is no longer available. Population is exploding. The usual cattle routes are no longer available for cattle to go around as they used to, owing to this population explosion and development and civilization. All of this do not matter in the context of the crisis that we're currently seeing.
No, all of them matter, but they are not as important as the point I'm making. Remember the so-called cattle routes. They are not today's invention. These are cattle routes which were established when the jihad succeeded and there was a Fulani, there was a Sokoto Caliphate. So the cattle routes then were established for the Fulani of the whole West African sub-region to come in and out of the country.
Is it just Nigeria that these routes were established in?
No, it's not just Nigeria, but try to remember what I'm trying to say. In Nigeria, which has become the second preferred homeland of the Fulani, we have more space. Certainly we have more space. But that doesn't mean that people can come from anywhere in the world, particularly with this type of criminal intentions and activities, to come and attack this
Professor,
country.
this...
resistance by Nigerians across different regions about the Ruga initiative that was introduced by the federal government. Despite faltering initiatives in order to resolve the killings that had taken place in the country in the recent time, let's get your insight when you first heard about this initiative.
The first thing is that you have said too many things in your intro, and so many of them I don't agree with. You think there are initiatives to resolve the killings. I think that's not true. I think that's not true. The initiatives are deceitful. The intention is not to resolve the killings. And I think these things are out there in the public in clear and simple terms. But we deliberately, being Nigerians and being dysfunctional, refuse to admit what is as clear as black and white. Ruga settlement is, in the simplest terms, Islamization and Fulanization. That is what it is. And except for an imbecile, it is so simple and clear to understand. And let me give you some indications. General Buhari had publicly said, I don't remember the exact words, but I'll try to paraphrase, that he will not conceal his desire for a total implementation of Sharia throughout Nigeria. What is that? That is Islamization. The man has never pretended. It is Nigerians as complex as they are, dysfunctional, pretending for him. The man has never pretended. It is we ourselves, educated Southern Christians, pretending for him. The same General Buhari had told the Benue leaders when they visited him that they should accommodate their brothers. Who are their brothers? Terrorist Fulani headsmen, classified by the Global Terrorism Index as the third most dangerous terrorist organization in the whole world, not in Nigeria. So the facts are all there. Femi Adesina speaks for Buhari. Femi Adesina told us that it may be better if we give up our lands to terrorist Fulani headsmen instead of dying. So, in how many ways will Buhari communicate before you will understand? Now, prior to that, a national newspaper in its front page, reported that the national leader of APC, Alhaji Bola Tinubu, had told the CIA, front page, so this is not a CIA classified files, front page of national newspaper, highly reputable national newspaper, that General Buhari is an ethnic bigot and a religious fanatic. How many indications do you want? Ruga is Islamization and Fulanization. You think that's not enough? In 2015, former vice chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee, Professor Banu Nwabeze, QCSAN, had said that Buhari had only one agenda, which was Islamization. 2015. But you chose not to listen. Because as Nigerians, we have very complex, many times self-destructive private agenda. Listen to the words I'm using, self-destructive. Many times. Because we have become complex in our celebration of what is wrong. This communication is so clear. 2015, Professor Ben Nwabeze, Professor of Constitutional Law, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Queen's Counsel, he said Buhari had only one agenda in government, and that is why Buhari has failed in every other thing. He failed in anti-corruption. Now we have more corruption. He failed in security. Nigeria has never been this insecure. He has failed on the economy. The 3 cardinal programs he published himself for his own government. The only thing he's about succeeding with is Islamization, which you were warned in 2015, but you were not interested because you were desperate, chasing some narrow self-destructive agenda. The communication was very clear. Now, a few years after, General Theophilus Danjuma told you that the Nigerian armed forces are conniving with the terrorists who are killing people. Nigerian armed forces. General Danjuma commanded those same forces. Who is the commander-in-chief of those armed forces? It's General Buhari. Now, you didn't believe Professor Ben Nwabeze. You didn't believe General Danjuma. Obasanjo has repeated it. You didn't believe Tinubu. Obasanjo has repeated it. That the agenda is an agenda of Islamization and Fulanization. And then, in the imbecility of the Nigerian presidency, Ruga is the most imbecilic thing I've ever heard in my life. I do not think there's any educated person in the whole of that presidency. To implement Ruga, you need to abrogate the Land Use Act. So how does anybody get to that level when you don't know that? You are chief of staff for the president. You are SA to the president. You are spokesperson to the president. You are president. You are vice president. You claim to be a professor of law and the senior advocate of Nigeria. And you allow a government to publish this kind of a policy? Land, according to Land Use Act, belongs to state governments. The Lagos state government has a Supreme Court judgment on that. If anybody is still in doubt as to the meaning of the law. So if you are looking for interpretation, the Supreme Court has already interpreted it. Now you go to Benue State and go and put a signpost that you want to take a settlement without the consent of the state government. Who gave you access to the land? This is brigandage. This is banditry. This is terrorism. That is what it is. But you claim to be journalists. You pretend to be nice. You're using nice words. And you tell us not to use strong terms. And in the meantime, everybody's in danger. And the Constitution holds you responsible for holding the government responsible and accountable to us.
Many Nigerians, I mean, so to say, are looking at this issue that there may be some misconceptions that it's politically motivated, so to say, for people to come out against the Ruga initiative.
You have to look at it. Kano state government said, I have enough land for everybody. Come. Why are they not going there? Because it's a Fulanization plot. Please, don't bring this very vexatious argument that make us look like we have the lowest IQ in the world. And you know there's a published study that black people have the lowest IQ in the world. And that's false. Because the two brightest scientists in the whole world today are Nigerians. So it can't be a coincidence. If it is one of them, the two brightest scientists in the world today are Nigerians. Professor Gabriel Oyibo, who solved the equation that Einstein could not solve. So we need to be careful. Right now, the American embassy is assessing tuberculosis test only from one hospital in the whole of Lagos State. Because we keep denigrating ourselves. That's why I said self-destructive. We cheat, we lie, we fail, we do sexual harassment for marks. We do all these dirty things and we want to be regarded as reasonable people. If you behave like an animal, you are an animal. So we can't continue behaving at sub-animal conditions, bringing sub-animal logic and thinking that we're going to make progress because we're trying to defend some very parochial interests. Let us continue. We are the ones self-destroying. So even if we go and do vigil, God will not answer us. Because even the vigil is an abomination before God.
Part of the arguments that are being pushed up by the special assistant to the president includes the fact that there is no imposition on the state.
There is an imposition. You don't go to Benue and put a signpost. We have an office statement from the office of the governor of Benue State saying that they are not aware that you have just come to put this signpost and they have removed it. What do you mean? The media should not promote the falsehood because of it is government that is the source of falsehood. It is a violation of the professional ethics of journalists to promote deliberate falsehood.
One of the issues, so to say, includes the fact that the governors themselves were part of the initiatives that...
No, those are the falsehoods. The office of the vice president had denied the Mieti Allah claim that the office of the vice president is in charge of Ruga settlement policy. This is a disguise for the same issue of land grabbing that Femi Adesina had spoken about, that General Buhari himself had spoken about. They want to take your land, create a Fulani territory, and take over your state. That's all. It's a land grabbing agenda. That is the Islamization and Fulanization agenda. What else do you want to hear? How much more clear can it be? All the facts I've given you, which one is false? When we do the wrong things as a people, we must expect to get the wrong answers as a people. When we do the wrong things as individuals, we must expect to get the wrong answers as individuals. And that is why, as at today, Nigeria is the third most terrorized country in the world. Nigeria is the global capital of extreme poverty. And the way suicide is going in Nigeria, we're going to probably be the highest. So you need to get it. You need to get it, and you need to get it very clearly. And I said it the last time I was here. You did not create this world. God created it. He set the rules of the universe. Choices have consequences. Actions have reactions. What we sow is what we reap. We do the wrong things, we get the wrong answers.
It is quite
so we need to be careful. Not only not to do the wrong things, but to always do the right things. And the first step to doing the right thing is to be honest. Simply honest. But not this convoluted, psychotic arguments. Ruga is Islamization and Fulanization. That is what Ruga stands for.
What if the federal government eventually rams this down on the throats of Nigerians?
The federal government lacks the moral and legal and political capacity.
But they are defending it.
They're defending it. That's well and good. And we are resisting it because we know what it is.
But what if they ram it down the throats of Nigerians?
It is going to be very difficult. It is going to be very difficult. I am sure you are aware of the public statement issued by Gani Adams. And some governors have said clearly that we don't want Ruga. At least, if nobody else has said it, Benue State government has said it.
Wouldn't the killings even continue then?
Well, it depends. It doesn't depend on me. Everybody knows my position. You have my tape in 2015, play it again. I stand by those positions that I had in 2015. It depends on you. What I mean, you as a Nigerian. So it's not you as an individual. Listen, we continue to tolerate this nonsense, it will continue to happen. When we say no, it is going to stop. We have not said no because we have become very maniacally materialistic, that we're always having some sinister, self-destructive agenda that we need to promote to privately help ourselves. So until we get out of that vicious cycle and simply say no to Islamization and Fulanization, this nonsense is going to continue.
So, finally,
yes,
beyond the Ruga initiative, what alternatives should Nigerians be looking at now? Because there seems to be nobody preparing in terms of.
No. I can give you.
In terms of securing the lives of people.
I can give you 5 easy, simple solutions that cost government nothing. But that's not what I'm going to waste my time doing. It's a total waste of time. The government is interested. We need to get rid of this government constitutionally and democratically. There was an election. General Buhari knows he lost that election. He needs to leave office. Let me tell you, the day you really want to solve a problem, do a root cause analysis. If you have malaria and you're treating headache, the plasmodium will remain there and the malaria will remain there. So don't lead me on that line. I'm not interested in that. The government is not interested in that. Do a root cause analysis. The root cause analysis, this problem, when you do a root cause analysis, what caused Fulani herdsmen terrorism? You agree on what caused it. What caused that one? You agree on what caused it. When you go 5 levels, using the 5 whys principle, you will get a root cause. The root cause of this problem is General Buhari. Quote me. Publish it anywhere. Do any proper root cause analysis, you arrive at General Buhari. We have done it in different fora. The root cause of terrorism by Fulani herdsmen is General Buhari. Let me tell you, Shagari was a Fulani, but he was a reasonable man. Yaradua was a Fulani, he was a brilliant man. General Buhari is not the first Fulani to come to power. Fulani has dominated power in Nigeria. The problem is General Buhari, and he has not concealed it. He has confessed. But you don't want to list it because of your own parochial biases. Buhari has confessed. I quoted it some instances. If you look at that statement about total implementation of Sharia throughout Nigeria, and you look at the published agenda of Boko Haram, verbatim, the equivalent. Just take the two and look at it. What's the difference between that and Boko Haram imposing an Islamic sultanate? What's the difference? It's not Sharia. That's what makes an Islamic sultanate. What is wrong? We cannot be claiming that I went to UI and we cannot understand simple English. I have masters in classics and we cannot think reasonably. I have a PhD in West African history and we do not know the connection. Please now, please.
Mr. Martins Onovo, thank you very much for your insightful analysis. We really appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.
Watakila jeje
Wonderful people, great Biafrans, wherever you are, on the surface of this very planet Earth, we welcome you to hopefully another incisive, exciting, informative, live presentation from this very noble platform of Radio Biafra, transmitting on multiple platforms to the ends of this very earth. Wherever you are, because we are listened to right across this very globe, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to some of you, especially those who are listening in the blessed land of Biafra, and those of you, of course, who are incarcerated unlawfully and illegally in Abuja. I know you may not be listening, but I do hope that the grace of the Almighty in heaven that we praise and worship every blessed day finds you, and that some of you will be home in no distant time. This evening we are going to preach the gospel of heaven as we have been mandated to, without fear nor favor, without compromise, never ever contemplating surrender nor retreat, because our fight is noble. That is why only the pure at heart has been called to undertake this very task, to liberate the sons of heaven. We have come that the truth may prevail. We have come that even the blind may see. We have come, especially this evening, that the deaf may be able to hear. Because anybody, any family that fails to imbibe what we are preaching this evening will face very severe and devastating consequences. Because before we came on air this evening, as we had predicted earlier today, very terrible thing happened in Anambra State. We can't allow such rubbish to continue to happen, but I do not want to go before myself. I want to consult heaven, because without the Almighty sat upon his throne, we are nothing. Therefore, we must pray, and in so doing, hand over our proceedings this very evening to the throne of heaven itself. I'm going to pray a very short prayer in the language of the ancients, that the angels who are surrounding the throne of God Almighty in heaven maybe even be able to worship and praise Elohim more than they have ever done today. Chineke na nke pụrụ ihe niile, onye ndị nsọ na-efe, onye ọ bụ naanị ya ji sọsọ okwu ọnụ wee kee ihe niile nke mmadụ ndị na-ahụ anya n'ụbọchị nke taa, onye dị nsọ mgbe niile ebighị ebi. Anya dị okwu n'iru gị ọzọ, nna nke ebere dị ngọzi. O nweghị ihe ọbụla nke mmadụ dị ndụ bụ mana ị na-echeta ya. Ị na-echeta ụmụ gị bụ ndị Biafra, nna nke ebere. Arịrịọ anyị na-arịọ gị n'abalị, onye ime eluigwe, Chineke nna nke usu niile nke ndị agha, bụ ka inye anyị ezi echiche na amamihe, ka inye anyị ezi nghọta, n'ihi na ụfọdụ aṅụgidere ọgwụ ike isi emebie ha. Tụmadụ ụmụaka bụ ndị na-akpagharị wee na-eme mkpamkpa n'ụlọ nna nke ebere dị ngọzi, onweghị onye dịnyere ha eze enyi ime eluigwe, ka iwe zie ha ozi n'ime mmụọ, ka ha wee nweta akọ na uche nna nke ebere, ka iwe nye ha ndụmọdụ ọbụla dị ezinụlọ ha si wee pụta, nna ha na nne ha, ka iwe nye ha ndụmọdụ onye nwe m, n'ihe ha sụsụrụ n'ụbọchị nke taa n'ime Anambra, nna nke ime eluigwe, ka ọ hapụ ime ọzọ. It cannot happen again. Give them common sense and understanding, because some of them may not understand Igbo language, which is the oldest language in the world. But I pray tonight, our Lord God Almighty in heaven, that you may give your children discerning spirit and understanding, for them to understand that we have enemies who wish us death, people who do not want our race to survive. These children that did nothing when Fulani Janjaweed were in our land, raping and pillaging, they did nothing. But today they came out in Anambra State to go and rob a bank. Give them common sense, or else they will be destroyed. And you will send your angels to minister to all the politicians that we are identifying tonight that sent them. You will also send your angels to minister